Yes! We live in an age today where everybody has their face planted into their phone. I take my phone to the bathroom. I take my phone when I go to the store, or even when I play basketball and take it to the gym with me. I'll be walking on the treadmill on the gym. That's why I probably don't get the results I want from the gym. So, we're gonna get into the top 5 cell phones of all time, in my opinion. And before we get into the top 5, we do have some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention for my top 5 cell phones of all time, number 1 is the Palm Pre. The Palm Pre, it was an innovative phone. Till to this day, say and think that the Palm Pre inspired the iPhone. It had its own OS that was kind of like Android, and it was like a little pebble. And when you slid the pebble up, it had the buttons under it, tactile buttons, but it also had a touch screen on the top too. It was black, it was sleek, it was cool. It didn't sell that great. I think the sales of it was a successor to another one of the phones on the list. That was one of my favorite phones of all time. I don't know how you guys hated on the Palm Pre. The Palm Pre was one of the first phones, at least that I could think of, that I was able to, take pictures, send them, use social media with it. Number 2 of the honorable mentions for the top 5 cell phones of all time is the Sony Ericsson S710A. It was a phone it was a cool phone because the buttons were cool on it, and instead of swiveling up, it would swivel out to open it to be able to use the phone. It was before touchscreen phones became all the rage, but it was still a cool phone. Liked it, enjoyed it. Sony Ericsson S710A was definitely one of them. The number 3 of my honorable mentions of my top 5 cell phones of all time is the Galaxy series. I had the Galaxy S3, S4, S5, S5 Active. I owned all of those phones. I would jump between iPhones and Galaxy phones because I enjoyed them all. The Galaxy series has come a long way. The honorable mention was the Galaxy series. Coming in at number 5 of my top 5 cell phones of all time. When I first saw it, it was in a rap video with rapper Fabulous. But I remember in the song he says, "But I know it's one of them. Every time I flip my phone, 3, 1 into the 2." It was a great phone. That phone I'm talking about, y'all, the Tmobile Sidekick. You know what? If they came out with a phone similar to the Tmobile Sidekick today, that was a touchscreen, but then the screen flipped up and then you could use the tactile buttons, I would honestly consider purchasing one. The Tmobile Sidekick, I remember it had like a little scroll wheel, kind of like the BlackBerry series phones, and then the screen would flip up. But what really sold me was that phone was boss. I really love the Tmobile Sidekick. Tmobile Sidekick, one of my favorite cell phones of all time, period. Coming in at number 2 on my top 5 is the Palm Treo. It was a candy bar shaped phone, a whole like QWERTY keyboard, also touchscreen, but it wasn't really touch good for the fingers. The screen was so small that you had to have a stylus. That was the first, or one of the first, popular power user phone. Unfortunately, the phone did die out because the Palm Pre did not save Palm. So there goes that one. The next on the list of top 5 cell phones of all time was the T-Mobile Razr. Yes. The T-Mobile Razr, they marketed it as the thinnest cell phone ever made, and it was razor thin at the age of flip phones. What could the phone do that was special? Absolutely nothing. If I wanted to punish my children, I would take their cell phones from them and make them use a Motorola Razr for the week. I remember going to the mall, and I said to myself, I have to, by hook or by crook, whatever it takes, I have to one day have that phone. At the time, everybody had to have the Motorola Razr, and they came in all kinds of colors. There was chrome blue, there was black, there was pink, there was green. It was still the coolest phone ever because it was so thin, and I'm glad I had it. Number 4 on the top 5 cell phones of all time is, of course, the iconic Apple iPhone. I have one in my hand right now. The iPhone is, when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, and he said it was innovative, and I know it sounds so cliche because every time they release an iPhone now, which is basically the same thing as last year's with like a little bit of a difference.
The headphone jack is going to be on the bottom.
He said it was innovative. It really was. When the iPhone came out, it was a full touchscreen, no keyboard. Everybody said that the iPhone was not going to sell because it didn't have buttons. Oh, I need my buttons. I have to have my buttons. A phone without buttons is not going to make it. Yet, today, people don't buy phones with buttons anymore. I remember what really sold me, what really made me really have to have the phone was they had signed a deal with YouTube and made it so that you could watch videos on your phone. It was the first phone that I could think of where you could actually watch YouTube videos on it. And I remember there was a YouTube video of a dog on a skateboard. And it was like maybe 10 seconds. And the little bulldog was running, jumped on the skateboard, and it rolled about 10 feet. And I was sold. I was hooked. The possibilities are almost endless on what you could do with an iPhone today. But I have to say, I fear that the innovation of the iPhone is all done. I don't think that there is anything else you could really do with the iPhone. Yes, they did make it waterproof, so I guess if you want to call that innovation, if you are a fish. And number 5 on my
top five.
cell phones of all time, the BlackBerry. Everyone from Kim Kardashian to everybody in the know to even your boy Truthit had a BlackBerry. I really had to, no matter what, get one. Was when I started watching the show on MTV called Run's House. And on the episode, on every episode of the show Run's House, at the end, he would sit in his tub and he would read off of his BlackBerry and scroll and give his words of the day and send out a blast email. I had to have it. I would not stop until I got it. So that is the top 5 cell phones of all time, in my opinion. I have the list right here. The honorable mentions were the Palm Pre, Sony Ericsson S710A, and the Galaxy series. Number 1 through 5 is the Tmobile Sidekick, Palm Treo, Motorola Razr, of course the iPhone, and BlackBerry.